Rainbow Six Siege aims one day to have 100 operators, and currently Ubisoft is only at the halfway mark, so we figured they could do with a hand. We put together our collective brainpower and came up with 6 new Dead Cert operators. We're absolutely positive that each one is a brilliant, flawlessly designed character that works perfectly, and definitely not, as one person said, a bunch of mad, ill-conceived b****s. But just in case, we decided to run them by 2 of the game's designers first and find out what they thought.
Let's go?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Hi, my name is Dale, and my operator is called Mig, who's a 1-speed, 3-armor defender. At the ripe old age of 63, Mig wasn't recruited for his combat skills like all the other operators, he's actually recruited for his welding skills. So Mig's ability is called the Steel Ally, which basically means you can weld shut any opening, any window or any door, even drones can't get through. It's like a castle barricade basically, except for you can't penetrate it whatsoever. The reason for doing this is to funnel the action so you can prevent flanking routes and just really bunker down. He also has a cigarette in his mouth at all times and has a welding torch, and he can light the cigarette any time. That's just for a bit of fun really, doesn't add much.
This is a terrible idea. No, it's a very classic one. We've discussed it.
The SS is awesome.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It has a perfect head. It's probably the best gadget defense could ever have.
Yeah.
And also probably not very fun to play around.
Yeah, it would mess with level design in a way that we cannot really control. Like there is some very specific rules in our level design that are intended to make sure that you always have 2 access to certain rooms, and that's actually kind of important for the flow of the game. And that kind of thing would break it. Even if you gave him only one of those things, it could completely destroy certain bomb sites.
I think some things that just says no,
yeah,
and that's it, and that's the end of it. We try to avoid
it's
stuff like that.
It's very binary. There is very few interaction that it creates, and it's super difficult to control. Some bomb sites would be probably useless, and others it would be incredibly powerful.
Hello, I'm Joe, and I'm here to present to you Jameson Yellowbelly Poltroon, a 3-speed, 3-armor beast attacker who is also a coward. On the surface, he might seem overpowered. 3-speed, 3-armor, he can carry 2 guns. It's ridiculous, but instead of an ability, what he has is a cowardice gauge. So essentially, around Yellowbelly, if there are gunshots or explosions, this gauge fills up. And once it fills up, he drops to 1 armor and 1 speed, and he loses a weapon, and he starts screaming, which gives away his position. He can then be shot by his teammates for no penalty, and because he's had a court-martial. I'd also quite like all his clothes to fall off and he's left in little pants, but you know, that's your choice really once you go with him.
I want to play this guy.
We can't argue that it's not fun. It's definitely pretty hilarious. There's a few details in this description that sounds pretty awesome.
And also to be more serious, like there are definitely ideas that look a bit like that we've played around. Like we played around the idea of having a sort of morphling. So morphling in Dota is a character that is able to turn one of his main characteristics in another one. So he's able to turn his strengths into agility and agility into strength, back and forth. And it's a super interesting thing. And we tried playing with this idea with armor and speed with little success so far.
The other problem with this concept is it doesn't really have an active ability. It's just passives, a lot of them, and very funny ones, but we still like to have something to do with our middle.
He could scream with, you know, like
just a negative
when he becomes a coward and like just.
My name is Alex, and my operator is called Pierce, and she's a 2-speed, 2-armor defender from Argentina. She's basically the spiritual cousin of Vasquez from Aliens, so she's the coolest operator in the game. Armor Buster is a special ability, and it's basically armor-piercing rounds, so it goes straight through Blitz's shield, straight through Montaigne's shield, and it can also go through the reinforcements, so it's great when you're on defense against some of those guys. But you only get 1 magazine clip with 30 rounds, and if you decide to reload halfway through, you lose that ammo.
Oh god, killing people through walls is very rarely a good idea, because it's very rarely an interesting experience to get one tapped through a barricade or through a wall. If you've tried that, you probably didn't have the best round of your life. Another aspect of it is that it's actually doing it through metallic walls. Yeah. If there's something that Maverick taught us is that getting shot through a wall that you thought was safe isn't that fun of an experience either.
Yeah, most of our players have learned to trust the reinforced wall to at least quite a large extent, and the ability to be one-shot through this one safe zone is terrifying and very frustrating.
We had a prototype like that where a sniper could shoot you through unbreakable walls and stuff like that. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was
one of the
not
worst prototype we've ever made.
It's so powerful that you have to make the condition for this to happen extremely difficult, which means that it rarely happens, and when it does, yeah, you got a kill, but the receiving end of this is really not fun.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Matt, and my operator is Bug, a 3-speed, 1-armored attacker that's designed to be an alternate pick to Decaibi. Like her, she can hack into the CCTV network of the defenders, but rather than being done remotely, this has to be physically done by planting a wiretap on the cameras themselves. So that you don't just get instantly killed by defenders, you can do this by drilling through the floor above a camera or the wall behind it. When in control of the cameras, you can then send false enemy ping alerts to the defenders to completely confuse them.
We're totally comfortable with the idea of having something, for instance, that would produce fake noise in the world, but anything that belongs to the HUD isn't supposed to lie to players because it's something that's not part of the diégèse, like not part of the actual narration of the game.
It's not real, right? This you've been spotted, the red string is not something real. It's like lying on the scoreboard, the scoring system, the timer, all those things we try to stay away from because we believe that those systems are not supposed to lie to you and the player should trust them.
So we're supposed to have terrible ideas, but this one isn't a terrible idea.
Is not
I'm a bit disappointed.
In the sense that we actually kind of explored a lot of those things already, and it's and when the fact that we're able to answer you why we would not do this thing about the alert system is because we ask ourselves the question first before, and that makes perfect sense. It's pretty interesting.
Hi, I'm Simon, and my operator is Loki, a 3-speed, 1-armor defender from Iceland. So Loki's all about deception. She has these 2 veils which she can use to cloak floor panels and ceiling panels. So you want to destroy that panel, then put the projection cube on the floor or on the ceiling to make it look like that panel is still there. If someone runs over it, they can fall through, hit into a frost trap or a lesion trap. It's really good for combining with other members of your team. Similar technology to a Prisma, and it's just all about deceiving your opponent and just really, I think there could be funny results like a Nomad as well with people falling through traps. So hopefully you like it.
Like the concept of having the Prisma technology being applied not on an operator but on an object is very, very much something we already discussed and we're absolutely interested in. And I don't want to spoil too much because there's one specific operator where rework could happen using exactly something like that. On this specific pitch, the only issue is exactly what you said, which is the restriction on only using that on hatches is probably would make the occurrence of it actually doing something in the round too rare to be fun to play around. But still, the core idea here is pretty good.
And to come back to what we mentioned earlier, although we don't want the UI to lie or that kind of thing, we are absolutely okay for the world to not be exactly what you believe it is. And that in that sense, this idea is really interesting for us.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Jesse and my operator's name is Grievous. He is a 3-armor, 1-speed attacker. So imagine this, Grievous has just thrown a smoke grenade into a room. He then runs in, and as the smoke clears, he's not there. He just used his claw grab ability when his 2 arms split into 4. He's launched himself into the air like a human yokai, and he's effectively become a wall-mounted turret. That's pretty awesome.
We discussed this exact idea, 2 years back?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Level design nightmare?
Exactly. That's okay. One of the key issues with anything that is related to ceilings is they haven't been designed to be interacted with a lot. And,
which you know if you play Echo, by the way.
There's a lot
the
of
whole
things on our
attach system is,
Yeah. There's a lot of things on our ceilings, and yokai is already small enough and it's still problematic. So an entire operator feels a bit scary for us to stick to ceilings. Like there is no standard height for rooms, and all of this makes it tricky to interact with ceilings. Although, props to try one of the biggest challenges we have usually, which is making a 3-armor operators in attack. That is always difficult.
Super ballsy,
so
for sure.
pretty brave for you.
The worst one is probably the piercing one. At least it's a kind of idea that as a designer I'm the most afraid of because functionally I understand what it's trying to do and it makes sense in real world, but it's really not something that feels that it would be fun to play and fun to play against. I think the last 2 ones are my preferred. The Loki one is really good.
I like it.
And also Grievous, the very last one, I think is a really, really cool idea. I think it definitely has technical issues and it would be very hard to make it really work, but what I like in that kind of idea is when I project myself as the guy playing Grievous or the guy playing against Grievous, in both cases I think I'm gonna have fun.
So yeah, agreed with JB. The scariest one for us would be bullet through walls, through metallic walls, and the 2 best in terms of like hey, something here is really interesting to, probably not the full concept, but like the early idea would be Loki and Grievous.
Okay, so it was a mixed bag, and frankly, a little surprising that they were mostly into Jesse's absurd General Grievous idea, but we'll take it. And if you like this video, why not check out commentator and former pro player KiXSTAr judging our awful Rainbow Six Siege play. He does not hold back.